Hey kids, I have been out digging this morning and look what I found. It's a treasure chest. I wonder what's inside. Do you want to see? Wow, look at this. Coins and more coins and ooh, a jewel. Not really my style. Probably means more to the person who buried it than to me. You know, finding a hidden treasure reminds me of a Bible story. Did you know that Jesus said that the kingdom of God is like a lost treasure? He sure did. Let me tell you about it. Let's look together in our Bibles to Matthew 13. There are several parables in this one chapter. They are often referred to as the kingdom parables. They all show us the value of God's growing kingdom is greater than anything. Like so many other encounters with Jesus, this chapter begins with Jesus teaching a large crowd. This time he was teaching from a boat, and the people were on the land. The disciples asked Jesus why he taught in parables. Jesus answered, "Not everyone will understand the hidden truths about the kingdom of heaven." He reminded them about some of the words spoken from the prophet Isaiah. Some people look, they don't see. They hear, but they don't listen or understand. Jesus made these prophecies come true. Jesus said, "You are blessed if you understand." Jesus told a parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that a man planted in his field. It is the smallest of all the seeds, but it grows taller than the garden plants. It becomes a tree, and the birds come to build nests in its branches. Jesus continued, "The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman mixed into 50 pounds of flour. The yeast makes the dough rise." Jesus told another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field that a man found. He reburied it and then joyfully sold everything he had and bought the field. Finally, Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of a fine pearl. When he found one priceless pearl, he went and sold everything he had and bought it." When Jesus finished teaching the crowds, he left that place and went to Nazareth. So let's think for a second. How silly would you look to your family and friends if you sold everything you own just to buy a bit of land? It's likely people would think you had lost your mind. Land is valuable, but selling everything you have, that's pretty extreme. At least it seems that way until you come back with your new land with a treasure. God's kingdom is more valuable than anything the world can offer. But to people living in the world, it doesn't always seem that way. When we give up things to follow Jesus and be in God's kingdom, it might look to others that we're pretty silly too. But what is sillier, giving up something that will eventually fall apart to gain something perfect that lasts forever, or holding on to something that won't last instead of chasing after something wonderful? In addition to the value of God's kingdom, Jesus wanted people to understand that it will expand to fill the whole earth. Just as the mustard seed, which grows into a tree that provides shelter for many, God's kingdom will grow and become a shelter for everyone who has faith. God's growing kingdom is more valuable than anything.
Big picture question. How does God care for his creation? Key passage. He has rescued us from the domain of darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of the Son he loves. In him we have the redemption, the forgiveness of sins. Colossians 1:13 and 14. God's growing kingdom is more valuable than anything. Today's King